Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another year of the DTM Esports Championship. It is, of course, the year of 2025. And, well, I'm back again with Connery Maddock. Connery, how are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fine, Luke. It's back. It's great to be back for another DTM esports season. It's absolutely fantastic to be here, and it's incredible. It's great to get this incredible opportunity pretty much all the time to be able to come and do this.
Absolutely. It's become a bit of a staple of my year. I very much look forward to doing DTM Esports. I absolutely love it. But it's all about the drivers and who is going to become another champion. We've had Tim Yarshall, who was the last time out champion. He's the reigning champ, will be taking part in this series. We had Kevin Siggy, who won a couple of years ago. And then before that, we had Moritz Loner. But let's check out today's schedule so you guys know at home what you are up for. And I am keeping an eye on the DTM YouTube channel right now. I'm keeping an eye on the RaceRoom Twitch channel, and I'm also keeping an eye on the channel, my own channel, actually. So there's 3 channels in front of me, so I'll try and get a hello to you all and all that good stuff. But today's schedule, stream start, well, that's already done. Lovely old job. We now are welcoming people to get themselves involved in the chat. So you've got about 3 minutes to get yourselves a drink, some snacks, because the racing action, once it starts, oh boy, it will be frantic. Qualifying, 10 minutes of qualifying at Oschersleben. Then at 7:30 p.m. it will be the race. The time is in the European time zone as well, so CET. Race is going to be 20 minutes long. Then we'll have another qualifying session after a little break with an interview for the second race. And then the second race will be 20 minutes long. And then the stream will end just like that. But let's check out the calendar of the season then. We've got plenty of action coming up for you over the course of the next few months. So round 1 will be at Zandvoort. Then round 2 will be at the Norris Ring. Then we head to the Nürburgring for round 3. Then there's a DTM Esports special event. I'm still in the dark about that, so that's a big surprise. So looking forward to seeing what that exactly will be. Round 4 will be at the Saxon Ring. Then we head to round 5 for the Red Bull Ring. And as always, the finale, as it is pretty much every season. Of course, we have had the exceptions during COVID, but for DTM, the finale is at the Hockenheim Ring, and round 6 for the DTM Esports is no exception. So we'll be heading there. And while like I've just mentioned, we have got some previous champions, and there might be a new name added to the list. Let's check out who has won the championship in previous years gone by. Of course, last year's champion, it was Tim Yarshall. He won the race for won the championship for Falcon Sim Racing. We had Kevin Siggy, who was the 2022 champion for Team Redline. And then we had Moritz Loner in 2020, who won it for Williams Esports. So will there be a new name added to that list, or will Tim Yarshall potentially become a 2-time champion? Well, we've mentioned Tim Yarshall. We know he's racing, but what about everybody else who's on the grid? 32 drivers taking part today, and 16 of those drivers will make it through to the next stage of this championship. Connery, I feel like I've already spoken far too much. I'll let you go through our list of names.
Well, at the moment, we've got some names that you recognise, some names you might not recognise. That's as things go here in these sorts of series. We've got our Shootout 1 with Jack Keithley. That's a name many people will know in RaceRoom. Ilya Dvosikov, we've seen him before as well. Tim Yarshall, Philip Dreis, Ottaviani, Muller, Kripner, lots of drivers we saw last season. Pajic. We've got Petar Buljak there, who I don't believe I've seen before. We've got Robbie Stapleford joining us here today as well. Julian Kunz, Christian Juhas, Ben Spunky. So lots of very, very, very familiar names, Luke. But there's also a couple out there that perhaps, this is going to be their first sort of bigger competition that they're going to be taking part of, and let's see what they're made of.
Yeah, Turka Hakkinen is a new name for me. Marco Lomi. We've then got Miksovic. Who else is here? Abelarde. We know all about Abelarde. Maybe David Kaloksai is a newer name. Good to see Bo Dixon competing at the top end in terms of esports. He's taken part in the ranked events on RaceRoom quite often, and actually has won many of my championships that I've put on over the years. So really good to see him representing Distinct.gg. We've got Patrick Sciari. I'm assuming he's Hungarian because, as we all know, there's always a Hungarian. Lloyd Biddulph as well is a newer name. We've then got Daniel Burker, but the rest of this grid is pretty much RaceRoom royalty at this point. But anyway, of course, we're here in 2025, and maybe a few of you are a little bit new to this and thinking, well, I'm not really sure what to expect here. Luckily, we've got a video here from last season's highlights, so you know exactly what to expect from the 2025 championship. the final round, race number 11 of the season of the DTM Esports Pro Series 2024. And well, Isaac Price will be on the front row with Marco Page, and they are off Green Light Racing. And well, Moritz Lohner's got an absolute fly around the outside, already up to P2. Tim Yarshall's getting swallowed as we got cars running off the circuit there, left, right, and indeed centre. That will mean potential slowdown penalties as we head then down towards turn number 2. It is Moritz Lohner from 4th on the grid. He's going to try and hang it round the outside. Oh, Tim Yarshall's off! Tim Yarshall's into the grab ball. Oh, big drama here, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Tim Yarshall has got involved somewhere here. Jack Keithley's now ahead of him. So is Jeffrey Greenberg, so is Enzo Benito. Well, he was a former champion of the DTM Esports, has raced in the DTM program over the last few years, and well, he is once again a DTM Esports winner, Moritz Lohner. The big story, though, is Nikodem Wisniewski is going to score 20 points, and Tim Yarshall is only going to score 3, meaning when we head to the final round, the gap between them has come down. It is now only a 28-point gap. It is our final race of the season. It is round 6. It's race 12 of the DTM Esports Pro Series 2024. And we are off and running down towards turn number 1. And Moritz, just like race number 1, has got an absolute flyer of a start as we see Tim Yarshall going out nice and wide there to try and make an overtake, trying to hold on to what would be a P4. He's under some severe pressure from that number 46 on the inside, Fiducci, as we see Tim Yarshall nearly gets collected by, it looks like the RH car. He's all good, He's still in that P4. He just doesn't need to get involved in anything around turn number 1. There we go, there's Nikodem Wisniewski. Will not be up to full speed, remember. Turn 1 is very quick, and Moritz Lohner, an absolute canter, is going to get into the lead of this race. He does. So there we go. That's the difference. The undercut worked. By the looks of things, Tim Yarshall's stop was not good at all. Talking of...
oh, no! Wisniewski!
Oh, Wisniewski. He is facing the wrong way. Is there contact there? I didn't see exactly what happened there. It caught me off guard a little bit, but this all but seals the championship for Tim Yarshall. And you can see he's now fighting with Leon Rudiger. He'll probably dive this. Leon Rudiger isn't going to make the corner. Sure, he's off into the stadium section now. All the Mercedes fans not going to be happy with BMW being in there with their seats. Never really flirted with a championship, but we come around the final corner, and Tim Yarshall, ladies and gentlemen, will be your DTM Esports 2024 champion. All the hard work was done early in the season. He was put under some severe pressure going into today, but boy, does pressure create diamonds. Tim Yarshall is that diamond, and he is your champion. Congratulations to him. You can see it means the absolute world to him. He's smiling there from ear to ear. And oh boy, has he dealt with pressure well today. on 22 and 20. And then we'll go all the way down to 21st and beyond. Everybody who finishes the race will get 1 point. So I think 16 points is going to be what someone would need to be in that top 16. Anyway, to exactly what we were talking about, Tim Yarshall, the dominant force of 2025, when he started the way he needs to go on. Currently, P1.
Yeah, absolutely. And by about 29 thousandths of a second as well. So still very, very close here in the sort of earlier stages of qualifying, right? This is, we're not towards the halfway point here yet. Drivers essentially getting themselves unlimited laps to be able to set this qualifying session. So if you're aware of, other parts of sim racing where they only get a limited number of laps, not the case here in this one. They will get themselves their opportunity to set their fastest time no matter what. But for Muller, as he heads his way across the line here in just a couple of moments' time, 29 thousandths of a second to try to beat here, and he does so across the line. Bests Yarshall by 33 thousandths there. So fantastic stuff for Muller, but he gets pipped to the post as Yarshall decides that he wants to have his turn being in provisional pole.
Yeah, Lucas Muller, who showed so much promise last time out in the shootouts, and it got to the main season and never really recaptured that form, but looking very strong today indeed. Front three are all Mercedes. There is a BOP on this series as well. And yeah, sorry, there was a sound issue, guys. I will now clarify exactly what today is all about. So there's 32 drivers taking part. 16 drivers will advance to the main series after 2 races. So there are points on offer for each race, both races being 20 minutes. First position will get 40 points, then it'll be 34, 30, 27, 24, all the way down to P20 that will get 2 points. And then everybody beyond that point, if they finish the race, will get 1 point. So my mathematics, I think if you get 16 points over 2 races today, that will be enough to get you into the top 16. So last year was a little bit different. So we had 6 qualify from 1 race, 6 qualify from another race, and then we had a final race shootout. So everybody who hadn't already qualified went into a 3rd race, and it was just absolute carnage. But today, to ward off any issues in terms of people receiving penalties after the race, is going to be done via points. So a penalty for a driver, first penalty where it's beyond the warning is 3 points being removed from their total, then it's 7, then it's 13, then it's 20. So the severity of the penalties will indeed basically give you a point penalty. So if you are, for instance, 1 point within that top 16 and then you get a 3-point penalty, it's going to chuck you out. It really is as simple as that. So there we have it. That's the information, Connery.
Yeah, always a reliable source of information there, Luke. Yeah, you can always rely on you. But we are winding things down here in qualifying. We've got Tim Yarshall currently heading up the entire field here at the moment. But just look how tight the times are. This is fantastic to see. Just goes to show the quality of drivers that we have here on RaceRoom. There's Emre Cihan, the young Turk in the Ferrari, heading his way through here. He's about 0.3 of a second off the pole position time here at the moment, but he's really a driver that over the last couple of seasons have sort of gone from strength to strength. He was a competitor in one of the support series we used to run for this a couple of years ago, and playing in the big leagues now for the last 2 seasons, I believe it is. Certainly has made himself quite comfortable here.
Well, I'd say Emre Cihan is probably not done what I would say his expectations would have expected, if you like. I think he's probably fallen a little bit short of where he would have expected to be. In the late sort of 2010s, 18, 19, maybe 20, Emre Cihan was one of the very best on RaceRoom, and right now he's maybe just around the sort of top 20 drivers. But again, he's not very far from being one of the very best. We said the same for Tim Yarshall last year, so maybe it's the same case for Emre Cihan, the Turkish driver there running in the Ferrari. Thierry Vermeulen's Ferrari as well, by lots of things. But as we go around the final corner, then we're on board with Leonard Krippner, and this will be a final attempt done and dusted. So across the line, he's currently 1.5 tenths off, and that will be the best he can produce then. So P4 it will be. Qualifying is absolutely vital around Oschersleben. It's one of those circuits where it's almost like a Monaco, if you like, without being Monaco, because it's so difficult to make an overtake. If you're going to make an overtake, you realistically need to set it up out of the final corner, try and get a decent run down towards turn number 1. But for the first time of the season, Tim Yarshall, who of course was our champion last time out, will take pole position for the first round. And it's almost like he's just starting off where he left off last time round, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always an incredible performance and always a joy to see him driving out there. Of course, he might have wanted to try and bag pole position by a bit bigger of a margin than he did right there, but in the end, pole is pole, and as you quite rightfully mentioned here, Luke, at a track such as this one where the track position is so important, that is critical for him to get himself the season started off on the right foot. Yes, this is technically the pre-season, right? We've got this whole shootout process to go through before we set the grid for the actual event, but you still want to make sure that you get through cleanly rather than having to try and fight tooth and nail because of a mistake in qualifying, for example.
100%. And if you're at home watching right now and you are a RaceRoom enthusiast and you feel like you can maybe get involved in this, Shootout 2 will open next week as well. So there is a chance for you to qualify. Anybody that does not qualify from this Shootout number 1 has a chance to re-qualify via the time trial to get into that top 32. And we'll see you at Shootout number 2 in a few weeks' time. I love the fact that we are using the alternate layout with the spaceship there as the apex of turn number 1. If you go over that too hard, you'll know about it. You'll be facing the moon. It really is as simple as that. I read the chat and people are wondering why is there Hakkinen with a Finnish flag? Oh, it's a throwback, guys, isn't it? Hakkinen in motorsport in 2025. Oh, you love to see it.
You absolutely do. I'm just wondering, like, you know, will there be any inspiration from for the rest of the drivers to put on their own sort of throwback liveries? Perhaps that would be very, very interesting. I mean, you only get really these opportunities to do it before the actual main season, where they're all in their own team liveries, aren't they?
I love that. Yeah, they're all using DTM last season liveries on their cars. And then when it comes to the main championship, you get to put your team livery not only in the championship, but it becomes available in the game. So all of these drivers will actually have their own livery in the game, and you guys will be able to purchase those liveries as well, which is always a cool feature with RaceRoom Esports. We're on board then with Lucas Muller, who I would say 24 months ago was kind of maybe the next big thing in sim racing, in my opinion. He just looked like he was going to achieve some mega things, and maybe just fallen off a little bit of a cliff recently. So I'm just wondering whether this could be the championship that really kickstart his venture in sim racing. And if you're ahead of someone like Jack Keithley on RaceRoom, who is a bit of an OG when it comes to RaceRoom, well, you know your form is pretty good, and you're sandwiched then between him and Tim Yarshaw, who is a champion of the DTM Esports series. Well, you're in a pretty good spot. Round the final corner, we will go. Tim Yarshaw will take them across the line. We're about to start racing here in the DTM Esports 2025 season. Shootout 1 is about to go green for race number 1. Tim Yarshaw at the front there is off, and he's running down towards turn number 1. It's 4, maybe 5 wide, a little bit further back, but Tim Yarshaw's got an absolute worldie of a start. And we've got Lucas Muller there who's going to get pinched. I think Jack Keithley should take that position relatively comfortably as we come then through turn number 3. And there's a big spin there. That's Gianmarco Finucci. Finucci, he would definitely say, it's one of the favourites to be involved in the fight for the top of the championship. Well, actually, no, Finucci was one of them, but it was actually a Mercedes there. Not sure exactly who it was. It's Marco Pajic. Marco Mad Dog Pajic. Wow, incredible scenes then. It's Marco, who you would expect to be right up there, is very much struggling. Not good indeed. We've got a couple of Ferraris then battling a little bit further back. Emre Cihan, it was him. That's the Ferrari then that's fallen all the way back 11th down to 26th. And well, 2 of the big dogs in this championship are going to be scrapping now to try and get a result in race number 2.
Yeah, they all sort of tripped over each other down in towards turn 1 there, didn't they? It's a very, very tricky portion of the circuit to go wheel to wheel through, and when it's such a short, well, relatively short run from the start-finish line down into there, they're more than likely still going to be 2 by 2 by the time they arrive into the apex. So very, very tricky indeed. Everyone concertinaed up. It was really only Yarshaw that got any sort of considerable gap coming down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. And look at the gap that he's trying to establish, or even has established already, getting up towards 1.5 seconds as we end our first lap.
Yeah, just a note here, guys, they can choose whatever car they want for this shootout. And again, if they don't qualify today, they can change their car for Shootout 2 if they qualify. But when it comes to the main season, once you've chosen your car, that is it. We're about to potentially see a move here. Victor Nicolai trying to make a move on the Austrian Burka. Not quite going to work out. Lots of gravel being kicked up there. Looks like we had someone travel through there. Hold on, is that Jack Keithley? Has Jack Keithley fallen all the way down here? Well, no, he's still in P2. So that is Mikovic, actually, as we see some more BMW flying in there. What's the plural of BMW? It's not BMWs.
Beamers.
Beamer, yeah, a flock of Beamers trying to get involved there. And actually, we've got one of the Scheffler livery cars just in behind, who we're on board with right now. Looks like he's had a big shunt there. Looks like I've sat on the bonnet. That is Coloxai, by the looks of things. He's got a very, very damaged bonnet to that car. And Bo Dixon is right up the order now. So Bo Dixon in P18. And again, I think you need to get around about 16 points over the course of 2 races here. So, yeah, if you can find yourself in the top 16, get that 6 points and then move forward for race number 2. On board then with Leonard Carton. He's got Alessandro Ottaviani just behind him. Then we've got Hakkinen, the Finn, in P8. But you're right, Connery. Tim Yarshall has absolutely disappeared into the distance. We've got someone asking on the DTM channel, by the way, is what game is this on? This is RaceRoom. You can download it for free from Steam.
Absolutely, and you can sort of try before you buy any of the premium content, shall we say? So, because obviously these DTM machines, they're going to be, they are in the game as well. So if you want to drive these cars, that's well, these professionals in sim racing are driving right now, then you can absolutely do that here in RaceRoom. That's a great opportunity for you, and of course, you know, once these guys get themselves into their full season, you'll be able to look like them as well with their liveries.
Yeah, I always love that. I love the fact that if you've managed to make it to a RaceRoom major championship, a broadcasting championship, your livery makes it into the gaming, and your name in the game and everything. And it also means that the audience can go out there and get your livery on their car, which is, I just think it's a really, really nice touch. Here is then Leonard Carton, currently in P6 and just chilling right now. This is the stage of the race where with 15 minutes to go, and if you're in the top 10, you don't really need to do too much. And you know, when it comes to the actual championship season, you'll see drivers be more frantic, trying to make themselves an opportunity. But at this stage in the shootout, you're just there to try and get as many points as you possibly can, and just guarantee yourself passage through. P1 and P16, there's no difference between the two of them at the end of the day. If you are in the top 16, you will make it through. So there's no seeding from it. It doesn't help you if you get P1. Ultimately, it's just about making sure you get through. As we've got 4 Sheldon van der Linde being Beamers in a row there, which is always helpful for a commentator.
Too much van der Linde.
Whoa. You can never have too much van der Linde. Let's get that straight.
Different strokes, as they say. But yeah, I mean, the driver that we're looking at right now is not van der Linde. It's Julian Kunze, who's in that 16th spot, Luke, in that position which you say that the drivers need to be in to qualify for the next stage of competition. And Kunze, well, he's not dealing with any sort of pressure per se at the moment. There's Luciano Vitvo, who's in P17 and narrowly missing out here at the moment. He's going to have to try and get a move on. He's going to have to try and have a look here and there at a track that's it's very difficult to overtake on if he wants to have any chance of getting through in this first shootout.
I will say one thing: Luciano Vitvo last time out in the shootout looked very strong, didn't he? Looked like one of the drivers that would be contesting for the championship, and similarly to Lucas Muller, never really materialised once they got to the main season. And if anything, it looks like he might be a little bit more off the pace this season. So maybe it's just an off track. We saw that last year where Oschersleben didn't really represent what everyone's pace really was. You know, it's a very technical circuit, a very tough circuit to nail. But as you can see, there's a slowdown in the background, I think. Yeah, there looks like a slowdown there. Yeah, Coloxai, another Hungarian, of course, involved here, trying to get across through turn number 1. Does he leave the overlap on the exit? No, he does not. But loss of a few positions there. Not a real good start here. You've got a damaged BMW, which you could kind of get away with around here, but if you give yourself slowdowns, you're just going to lose positions, and then it becomes almost impossible to really move your way up the order. Tim Yarshall leads, though, 1.5 seconds to Jack Keithley. They've got Lucas Muller in 3rd position, Philip Drees, Bent Banky in 5th position. We've got Leonard Carton, Alessandro Ottaviani. They've got Hakkinen, Droversikov. There we go, kind of got it right. He's in 9th position. Klaffenberg is in 10th spot. We then got Victor Abadate in 11th. Florian Hasser in 12th. Christian Michael is in 13th. We've got Berliak in 14th. Stapleford and Julian Kunze are your top 16. So if it was to be over and done with after this first race, that would be your 16 that qualify. But just to reiterate, guys, the results that we have today: ultimately are provisional results, because each race will be looked at. Because it's only a 20-minute race, it's very difficult to get all incidents looked at while you're live. So all incidents will be properly looked at, give a chance for the drivers to indeed report any misdemeanors that happen during a race. So yeah, everything is provisional as we go through turn number 1. And there is that spaceship there on the apex. Again, you hit that too hard, you're going to be facing the moon.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think we've seen it necessarily, not on the cameras at least, so far this race, but there's always a looming threat coming through there. All line astern, all single file here at the moment, especially inside the top 10. Mostly you can understand it by the fact that, well, is there really much of a point in them fighting? You know, if they're collecting the points required to get through to the next stage, do you really want to be going side by side with everyone around you at this stage? Probably not. So if there is going to be any sort of action here, it's going to be from P16 and back here. And Julian Kunze has to be careful. He's lost a couple of tenths of a second over the last couple of laps to Luciano Vitvo, and pushes a little bit wide through there as well. Got to be careful with the lost time here, otherwise that P16 is going to be slipping away from him quickly.
Yeah, we just got Phil posting in the DTM chat. So many BMWs, or as they say in the continent, BMV. Yes, of course, the drivers are going to try and pick the car that is probably the fastest, and by the looks of the choices here, the BMV seems to be the one. Although the top 3 in qualifying were all Mercedes AMG, so it's yeah, it's a strange one here. I guess the race pace might be a little bit faster for the BMWs. But when it comes to the championship season, we're going to be racing at 6 different circuits across 12 different races. So ultimately, you'll see drivers have to choose a car that's good across the whole season. So you'll see a little bit more of a I guess a little bit more of a spread across the manufacturers, because they cannot change car once the season has begun. So yeah, that's a nice little bit of info for you there, Phil, and hope you're all well. Let me know where you're watching from around the world as well, guys. Wherever you're watching, again, I'm keeping an eye on DTM chat, I'm keeping an eye on RaceRoom chat, I'm keeping an eye on my chat. Let me know where you're watching from around the world.
We're both British, aren't we? Unless it were, if that wasn't obvious to everyone. But it's always great to see how international our audience is sometimes.
We are annoying a lot of people right now just by being here. But it's tough, guys. We've been doing this for 6 years now. Love it. I love it. It's one of my favourite competitions to cast. As we're on board then, who are we on board with here? The intent, there we go. Whitver, Luciano Whitver then trying to catch up to Julian Kunze. I would say the happiest driver on this group would have been Hakkinen, but Hakkinen's actually dropped back here. Oh, he's dropped back significantly. So he was about 2 seconds clear of Drovoskov, and unfortunately he's now only 3/10 clear of him. So yeah, a big mistake must have happened there for that to have happened. And Leonard Carton is now the last car of a group of 7 who are all going to get really big points, and you get 20 points for 7th position. I would say that they're all pretty safe in going through. We got Sasha watching from Germany. Who else have we got here? Phil is from Germany as well. Dom Wings is from Czech Republic as well for James Voss, cheering on Ben Spanky. You love to see that. Random Master is in the USA. Who we got here? Fonoval watching from Germany. Carly from Ireland as well. So from everywhere. Netherlands for Element Future. So yeah, fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, you can just see, obviously, by the flags of the drivers on the screen as well, we've got some decent representation. There's a lot of Germans, I will admit, but that's quite natural because it is a German championship at the end of the day. So that's that one's pretty obvious. But we've got people from all sorts of places out there. So drivers reflecting audience. That's fantastic to see. But yeah, it's great to see how international sim racing has become. They have it all over the place. There's been some championships in places like South Korea and in Japan and all that as well. So it's great to see that you know, it has a very wide appeal.
I tell you what, I think Berliak, who I've seen on other sims, by the way, he's been around for a long time. I think Berliak might be the first Croatian I've seen in the RaceRoom Championship, though. I'm not sure that's a flag I've seen in this series before. I could be wrong. If you guys know any more Croatians that may have taken part in any of the series that RaceRoom produce in terms of esports, then let me know. On board with Jack Keithley there, 1.6 seconds behind, has been about 1.6 seconds behind Tim Yarshall for a pretty big amount of time. The gap hasn't really increased. Keithley doesn't need to push. at this stage. Had a pretty disappointing DTM Esports considering he has been a vice champion previously. We'll be hoping for a little bit more this time out, and has started the way he means to go on as he's now dragging Lucas Muller. Sorry, he's not dragging Lucas Muller along. We're on about, this is Luciano Whitbert, isn't he? Behind Julian Kunze. Stableford just up ahead of them. Then we've got, yeah, right down the back here. Actually, everybody's still racing here. Burkett, Nikolai, Lomi, and Pfeiffer are the last 4 cars on the grid. They may be 30 seconds behind, but they are all still going through. Yes, there is a specific VOP, Maestro, for this series. Yeah, they have got their own VOP.
Ooh,
so,
Carton.
Yeah,
I think Carton just lost a position coming out of the final corner. I wonder if that was some form of slowdown penalty he tried to serve coming out of there. We've seen that before, not only this race, but also last season as well. People struggling with the track limits coming through there. But I think Carton losing a place to Ottaviani there. So Ottaviani 6th place.
Yeah, again, they don't really need to fight in this situation, but they will. I think Hakkinen might be under a little bit of pressure sooner rather than later. The gap now only 0.2 of a second. There we go. So we can see Drovosakov in the Swiss driver in the German car, in the BMW. We've got then Klaffenberg just in behind as well. It is a sea of BMWs, a flock as we've called them. They're absolutely everywhere, but the one driver that's kind of keeping them a little bit bottled in, they're creating a bottleneck, should I say, is Hakkinen. But if you'd offered Hakkinen the P8, I think he would have probably taken it for race number 1. A new name to this championship for me, a new name for the esports scene of RaceRoom. As we see a little bit of contact there along the back straight, as Klaffenberg makes a move there on Drovosakov, and well, that has given a bit of breathing room to Hakkinen. He'll be loving life right now, thinking, yeah, you guys crack on, have a little battle, give me a bit of freedom. And ultimately, the move was made. Nice work by Klaffenberg.
Yeah, you don't often see moves, well, anywhere on this circuit, to be honest, but especially coming out of there, that was great stuff. And, well, let's see if there's any sort of chain reaction a little bit further down, because it did put Drovosakov back into the clutches of Abuladze there, the driver in 11th place in, again, yet another BMW, but he wasn't really able to capitalize on a relatively slow and impeded Drovosakov after that pass had happened. So he made himself big in the wing mirrors, but ended up not being able to find a gap inside, outside, or anything. So the status quo for him is being maintained. It's just Drovosakov having to lick his wounds a little.
No, 100% couldn't agree with you more there, Connery, and that's why you are here, given all of the relative information that I just kind of get a bit excited about. Lexon, we will go through the timetable, the schedule, and the calendar between the 2 races, mates. Stick around, and we'll give you all the information about the series this season. So, yeah, just stick around a few more minutes to the end of this race, and then you're good to indeed go. Apparently, Hakkinen isn't on his home rig. Okay, well, now, Lewis, you've got to tell us where he is. Is he on your rig? Wow, that's information that you just don't get in real-world motorsport. You know, no one ever tells you if they're in their real car or someone else's car, you know.
Well, I mean, there's been occasions where they've had to break out the spare car, but I don't know, spare sim rig, shall we say? But yeah, that's going to be interesting, especially if that sim rig is not very similar to the one he has at home, because drivers will usually get the opportunity to, or rather, will become accustomed to their own rigs, to their own pedals, to their own wheel, to their own wheel rim. So, you know, that setup is customized to them, to their preferences. When you go and jump into another person's rig, it can feel very, very, very wrong.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree with you more there. That is worth a couple of tenths, maybe 3 or 4 tenths, to be honest. You'll find that when drivers do an online qualifying session to then go to LAN, as an example, you'll find that the lap times are sort of 3 to 4 tenths slower. They're just not comfortable as they would be in their own rig. So yeah, the fact that Hakkinen is performing as well as he is right now, and you know, we can only go, you know, by what Lewis said. Maybe Lewis is just trolling us, but we can only go by what he's saying. If he's not on his home rig, that's actually really a lot more impressive than what he's performing here, than what he's doing here. Say, in terms of the new names to this championship that I would say are new, Hakkinen being one of them, Klaffenberg would be another one, the Austrian, currently in 9th position. And it's nice to see that, you know, every year, even though there's kind of, you know, I would say 400, maybe 500 drivers that you would class as like real top tier RaceRoom drivers, it's nice to see that every year we come back, there's still always a surprise of 1 or 2 in each race.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's great to see those new names, because they would get pretty boring and stale if we saw the same people in the same races every year, year after year. So it's so teams will do all they can to try and scout for that younger talent, for that new talent that has arrived in sim racing and maybe has somewhat flown under the radar until now. It's exactly how it works in the real world, where they scout for young drivers in karting, for example. Same thing happens with some of the sim racing teams, because I noticed Klaffenbuck had a well, I mean, he's a part of RAG Esports, which is you know, a team started by Romain Grosjean. So it's it's great to see him competing here in the DTM Esports Shootouts, getting enough points in 9th to be okay with regards to qualifying into the next stage competition. Obviously, that depends on how well the next race goes, although he is being challenged at the moment. Dravosikov around the outside. Okay.
Yeah, Dravosikov making a lovely move there, going up to a top 9. Klaffenberg then moves down into 10th position, and yeah, Oschersleben doesn't really produce well. I think we raced here last year and had 0 overtakes in one of our races. So the fact we've had 2 here in open play, let's say, is very, very respectable indeed. As I tell you what, Klaffenberg might be under a little bit of pressure here from Abdeladze. As we come then down towards turn number 1, he will get across and defend, and actually he will not lose that spot. Pretty easy to make the BMV as wide as possible there. 1 minute 18 seconds left on the clock. I think we will maybe have one more lap after this.
I think we may just have lost Luke there just for a moment, but Abdeladze down here for P10, and Klaffenberg potentially losing a little bit of pace towards the back end of this race here. Dravosikov has just sort of tried to pull the gap on him at the moment, and I mean, we've got such little time in this race now. I don't know whether or not the drivers in behind can really do anything about this at the moment. They'll have to strike now to really try to capitalize on this, to try and gain maybe a couple more points in the bag, so they have less reliance on doing well in that second race as well. But as they head their way across the line, 10 seconds to go. This is the start of the final lap. There is Tim Yarshall, 2.7 seconds ahead of everyone else. What a great performance so far.
I don't know if I'm back or not. I was making a really good point then as well about yeah, I can't quite remember what the point was, but I'm sure it was absolutely incredible and a lot of insight. But that's gone now. That's my one bit of insight for the year gone, and you couldn't even hear it, guys. But yeah, you're right, we're on board with Tim Yarshall, final lap of the first race of the season. And well, this is what happened last year. Tim Yarshall just announced himself as one of the very best, and it continued for the whole season. Are we about to see that happen for a second season in a row? Is it too early to already talk about that? I'm not sure it is, to be honest, because he's looked very, very quick indeed. Had a phenomenal start, and has just built that gap over the course of this 20-minute race. We go a bit further back, we're on board with Hasser there. There is Tim Yarshall, just 2 corners to negotiate before we head into the final turn. And Tim Yarshall, who is, of course, the reigning champion, the German, is going to start the season perfectly well here in the shootout number 1 and win race number 1. Fair play to him. I'm sure we're going to have a little chat with him very shortly as well. Jack Keithley comes in 2nd position. We then got Lucas Muller in 3rd, so going a bit further back. Then Klaffenberg trying to hold on to a top 10 position with Abdeladze just in behind him. Florian Hasser, Mikkel, Berliak. We then got Stableford and Kuntzer will be your top 16. So that will be the 16 drivers that are, as it stands, going through to the main season. But there's still one more race to go where they will try and get some more points. Oh, wow. For Oschersleben, that was actually not a bad race, to be honest.
Well, we actually had overtakes at Oschersleben. Yeah. Like what? That's crazy. But yeah, that's that. You know, sometimes we've already got our first surprise of the season, I suppose. Those are, of course, the race results here after the first shootout here at Oschersleben. Tim Yarshall taking it by almost 3 seconds over Jack Keithley. He's going to carry a lot of confidence there.
Certainly will. Lucas Muller finishes in 3rd spot. Philip Dreys in 4th. We've then got Ben Spanky in 5th. Otto Viani in 6th. Carton and Hakkinen are your top 8. You'd probably say that those 8 are safe. To be honest, I think 16 points is going to be what you need. We then got Drov Isakov in 9th position. We then got Klaffenberg in 10th spot as we now head on to the second page of our grid. We've got then Abelardze in 11th, Hasser and Mikkel as your top 13. Berliak, Stapleford's so good they named him twice. Julian Kunze is in 16th. We've got Whitford, Dixon and Juhas as your top 19. Then we've got Rudinger, Jari, Kaloksai, Bidolf, Chihan, Kripner, Mikovic. We've got Marko Pajic, Pfeiffer, and Nikolai. A lot of pressure for the likes of Chihan, Kripner, who you would expect to be up there. Marko Pajic, Victor Nikolai. Those drivers you would expect them to be in and amongst it. And our last classified driver, looks of things, is Gianmarco Berducci. Well, there we go.
Well, there we go. As we go back to our wonderful faces here, Luke. Actually, I'm just speaking about you. You can ignore me. But yeah, that was an intriguing one for sure. Yes, the front of the field was very sedate and somewhat processional. That's going to be natural here in the shootouts where the wins don't really matter so much, but at least in the mid-pack, a driver is deciding to maybe get a little aggressive with things, try and make up those positions. They don't really have much of a choice. I think here at Oschersleben, like, you have to go for those aggressive moves. You have to try and push the issue, sometimes literally, obviously within the bounds of the rules, but because it is so difficult otherwise. But yeah, it's a nice start to our season.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it's pointless, really, not taking any chances at this stage because, if you're not in that top 16 after 2 races today, you've got to go through the process of qualifying again via the time trial and then do another 2 races. So if you can be a little bit aggressive here and just force the issue a touch and just make sure that you're in the main show, the main series, then all is good. A few people were asking about the schedule of the season. So let's have a look at the season calendar while we've got a little break between race number 1 and indeed race number 2. Race number 2 is going to be the same format. It will be a 10-minute qualifying and then a 20-minute timed race. But here we are. This is the calendar for the DTM Esports 2025. Of course, we've got Shootout 2 coming at you the first Friday of February. But then the season begins. We're at Zandvoort. We're in Zandy Zandvoort, where we will be heading for round number 1. Then to the Norris Ring, the track with 4 corners. I love that place. One of my favorite places in the world in Nuremberg. Then we go to the Nürburgring for round number 3. Then we've got a DTM Esports special event, which I'm going to be honest, guys, I have no idea what that is. I'm excited for it. Cannot wait to be told exactly what that is. Then we head to the Saxon Ring for round number 4 in May. Then in June, it'll be round number 5 for the Red Bull Ring. And then for round 6, of course, just like DTM does pretty much every year. Of course, we've had some exceptions. But for the most part, the Hockenheim Ring always does indeed host the finale. And it's no different here for the esports version, because on the 18th of July, we will head to the Hockenheim Ring. So yeah, that's exactly what we will do. Let's check out the entry list then of our drivers. Of course, we've already had race number 1, but just to remind you as to who is racing in this series today, of course, we've got Jack Keithley, Drovasukov, who I cannot pronounce for the 2nd year in a row, Tim Yarshall, Philip Dreys, Ottaviani, Lucas Muller, Kripner, Pajic, Berliak, Robbie Stableford. We've got Kunze, Juhas, we've got ourselves Bent Banki, Verducci, Chihan, Hakkinen, Mitchell, Lomi, Abelardze, Makovic. We've then got Hasser, Pfeiffer, Kaloksai, Nikolai, Dixon, Whitford, Jari, Bidolf, Carton, Klaffenberg, Berker, and Rudinger. Let's just talk about a couple of surprises then. For me, Connery, there's always a couple of new drivers every single season. And Klaffenberg and Hakkinen, those 2 names have come out the blue here. Of course, we know Hakkinen from Mika Hakkinen, 98, 99 Formula 1 world champion. But yeah, those 2 names, I didn't really expect them to be mixing it up at the sharp end. And then you've got Chihan and Pajic, who obviously were involved in a bit of an incident at the start here, under a bit of pressure.
I bet in your commentary career you never expected to say the words Hakkinen goes down the inside. It might end up happening, but yes. But the point that you've raised is fantastic. Those newer names that we've seen. I mean, we got Abelardze there as well. Did decently well in that first shootout race as well. So it's great to see that again we're not just getting the normal old names inside of the top 15 inside of the top 10. We're getting this new talent in for this particular DTM Esports season. So that's a pretty fun situation. Although I can bring us into the normal race session now, because our second qualifying effort has just got itself underway.
Well, to be fair, in our runner show earlier, we were told that we're going to interview the race winner from race 1 in between, but that turns out that's not going to be the case, is it, Connor?
Yeah, he hasn't turned up.
So we're into qualifying. Here he is. He's there. He's on your screen, guys. Tim Yarshall. But yeah, we've got 10 minutes of qualification for you. I'm sure we'll talk to both our race winners at the end of the broadcast. So, yeah, second race. There's no messing about DTM Esports. Once the race starts, it just continues and happens, and we don't really have a lot of time to really breathe. So let's go on board here. Should we do a little bit of cockpit cam for a lap here of Oschersleben? I'll take you through a lap here. There we go, heading up towards the final couple of corners then in the Mercedes. You can hear the grunts of that Mercedes. We're on board with the 2024 champion of the series. He had a frantic battle with Kevin Siggy of Team Redline, and of course Nikodem Wisniewski for G2 Esports. Is actually his first event for G2 Esports, was it, for Nikodem Wisniewski, after he made the move from Williams Esports. So here we go. Running around the final corner. Tim Yarshall has gone provisional pole, a tenth of a second slower than what he had previously, but let's see what he can produce here. Over the start-finish line we will go. So we're heading then down towards turn number 1. You'll see exactly what I mean by spaceship. You've got the motorbike version to the left-hand side there that's closed off, and again, bounces over that spaceship through turn number 1. This corner just keeps on going very similarly to China, but with no camber whatsoever. And now we've run in towards turn number 3, which is a long-winded left-handed hairpin. Again, a nice diamond apex here, just drives away from the curbing and then wraps it back up. And now we've got the triple left-hander coming up. So we've got turns 4, 5, and 6 in quick succession, opening up the first of these 3 corners into the second, and then very quickly into the third, shifting the weight of the car for our right-hander, which is turn number 7 before we go through a chicane. It's so easy here to get a slowdown for cutting the circuit. You see running over the sausage on the right-hand side, maintaining as much speed as you possibly can, and actually Tim Yarshall really not helping me out there at all, as he was about to go onto the back straight and he's about to go to the final chicane before venturing around the final couple of corners. But that is a lap of Oschersleben, ladies and gentlemen. It is so difficult to overtake round here, so qualifying is absolutely key, and Tim Yarshall has already done that bit. He's currently P1.
Yep, absolutely. 49 thousandths of a second this time around. Florian Hasse getting himself up there as well. Abu Ladze, actually, one of the drivers that we featured, one of the newer names at DTM Esports, getting himself, well, currently top 5. Although Jack Keithley now goes provisional pole by 2 thousandths of a second, as close as you like, as the Brit in the BMW decides that he wants to start at the front, at least for the time being. As Ottaviani heading his way across the line now. I believe this is to start a lap for the Italian, and we've got others down the order. Dravosikov on a decent lap here at the moment as well, so we'll watch him as he heads his way through within the next couple of moments. Purple sector 1. Personal best sector 2, so this is looking like a pretty tidy lap for Dravosikov as the Swiss driver heads his way across the line now. Top 10.
Yeah, top 10 there. Again, not the worst thing in the world for Dravosikov. I cannot say it. It doesn't matter how
many seasons of racing have we had Dravosikov in there, and you still struggle with the name?
It hurts. I'm not going to lie, it hurts. So Ilya has managed to put himself into P10. Hey, if I'm not getting the second name right, I'm just going to call him by his first. He's that important, we just call him by his first name. On board with Philip Dreys as well. We were on board with him. He's now just reset, and this is something they can do, guys. Midway through the lap, they can just reset and start again. Robbie Stapleford then is in 15th as it stands. And just, 0.3 of a second off the pace, and you're 15th. That's just mind-blowing to me. We have seen a 22.3 today, though, so there is room for a bit of improvement from specifically Tim Yarshall. But Jack Keithley is going to be very happy with how things have gone so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Drivers on decent lap right now. Lucas Müller as Muller's got set 2 purple sectors. So keep an eye on him as he negotiates his third one. Maybe that sector 1 is not valid. It's not coming up with a time here at the moment, but we'll see as he heads across the line. It's possible. Oh, actually, that was a real lap. It just bugged out on the sector 1 time there. Lucas Muller to P3.
Yeah, that's very, very nicely done there by Lucas Muller. Tim Yarshall now 0.02 of a second behind. So it looks like he has improved here. Leonard Krippner has gone purple through sector number 1 by 0.03 of a second. So we're heading on to the back straight here. You're about to see a cut in the timing beam, and exactly how quick is he through sector number 2. There we go. Oh, he's just off. He's actually, as it stands, bang on for exactly the same time as Tim Yarshall. As he comes up then towards the double right-hander at the end of this lap, currently in 9th position, needing a bit of a result here, realistically, in this final race. By the way, he is 107 feet tall, is Leonard Krippner. He is a huge human being. It's Hakkinen goes up to 7th, Krippner across the line, and how much faster can he go? It's good enough to move up to 8th position. So it is an improvement, but the top 8 now separated by 0.08 of a second. My God.
Keithley might improve his time here as he heads his way across the line. Looks 22.4.
Well, no, he just...
No. Yeah.
He ended the lap before he went across the line.
That's weird.
He went purple, and then around the final corner must have made a mistake because he was up on his time. But ultimately, it's got to be a Benz Banky. Moves up to 3rd position. And now, to be in the top 3, you've got to be within 0.02 of a second. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Gianmarco Fiducci also on a good lap as well. Currently P11. How far inside the top 10 can he go? Decides to back out of it before the timing line. Didn't feel good, so back out again.
Oh, this is just ridiculous standard, as we always expect. It wasn't quite as close as this. By the way, Fiducci and Ilya, they've both got exactly the same lap times, which is something you very rarely see on RaceRoom.
Purple.
Oh yeah, Yarshall is purple here. Again, we know he's capable of a 22.3, and are we about to see that 22.3? Something he produced in race number 1. And he's around the final corner. Looks very tidy indeed. Uses the curb on the exit there nicely as well. About to go across the line, and actually he backs out of it as well. And he's made a mistake. So with what, 2 minutes 20 odd seconds to go, Jack Keithley is just going to survive one more attempt here from everybody else.
Krippner purple as well. It seems like a lot of drivers are sort of falling by the wayside inside of the final sector. That's where the lost time is. They get purple sectors 1 and 2, but 3s just don't end up happening, and Krippner abandons the lap as well. Back out there. Probably will just only get the one more opportunity to get this done.
Well, unless you're going to get 2 attempts done in 2 minutes. I think you're right, Connery. As we're on board with Lucas Muller, who is about 1/10 of a second up on everybody through sector number 1. Seems like the Mercedes is very good through the first couple of sectors, but the final sector, it seems to let himself down, although this is really quick. Really quick here from Lucas Muller. Qualified P2 in the first race, and actually dropped a few positions early on to drop himself down into 3rd. But as we come around that final corner, are we about to see Lucas Muller announce himself in this year's version of the DTM Esports? Across the line he will go. Is it good enough for pole? It is good enough for pole. There's the 22.3. He moves 0.05 of a second clear of Jack Keithley. Tim Yarshall about to come across. No, he's in the back straight here. So back straight then for Tim Yarshall. He's gone purple through the middle sector as well. Jack Keithley just gone purple and then green through the middle sector. So he's right behind Tim Yarshall. So Lucas Muller has put in a good lap time, but he might be about to be displaced here like he was in the first qualifying session. Round the final corner we'll go. Tim Yarshall's just about ahead, and we're about to see Tim Yarshall take his 2nd pole of the day. Across the line it is! It's by 200. What about Keithley? Oh, he does go faster by 0.04 of a second, but it's not enough to take pole position. But Tim Yarshall saved the best till last. Marko Pejic, currently 18th, only moves to P16. Not a good day for Marko Pejic. Is Sheehan about to come across the line? This could be a very good lap time.
No.
And it is not. Tim Yarshall, reigning champion. You think there might be a bit of pressure on him to perform once again. And well, he is coming absolutely swinging. Wow.
Incredible. Just at the last moment as well, the field didn't make it easy for him. Let's just say that. We had great lap times from Muller, from Keithley as well, to try and keep him honest. The front 5 are all under 1/10 of a second away from each other in this qualifying. Crazy.
Yeah, RaceRoom Championships, ladies and gentlemen, are always close, but this is just unprecedented. Top 27 within half a second is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's so important to qualify well around Oschersleben. It's almost impossible to make overtakes, albeit we have seen a couple. Turn 1 will be, well, I imagine this could be very much a cluster. I think there's going to be too many people trying to make up positions as early as possible. So, yeah, everybody get ready for turn number 1, because it could be very messy indeed. But Tim Yarshall will take pole position again. And, well, he is looking like the dominant force already this season after winning the championship last time out.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic. As we get ourselves in towards the racing session, it's it's our second one of the day, and but it's the same pole position sitter. Yarshall doing fantastically well. He makes it look dominant when really it hasn't been. I mean, it's been close, in both of these qualifying sessions. However, he's just had that slight edge, the slight hundredths of a second over his competitors, and that's all that matters, especially when the field is this close.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more there. It's not like he's going out there and qualifying half a second quicker as Klaffenberg has got a false start.
Ooh.
I don't know whether that will be, well, Klaffenberg doesn't need to have an incredible race here, but I'm sure that will be figured out. You'd like to think it would be figured out. As we are, of course, got the Cupra safety car out there, the official car used for DTM. We're looking on board there with Tim Yarshall, who again, it hasn't been a case of he's half a second faster than everyone, so it's expected for him to be at the front. He's had to fight for his pole positions massively. Lucas Müller, the only other driver that's managed to get down into those 22.3s. And put that pressure on both in the Mercedes. Seems like the Mercedes is definitely the car to qualify in, but in terms of the race pace, the BMW seems to be the car. Jack Keatley in third spot, Finucci in fourth position, Bent Banky in fifth. We then got Ilya in sixth position. I'm not saying his second name. Ottaviani in seventh, Hasser in eighth, Hakkinen, Krippner as your fifth row. We then got Abeladze and Carton on your sixth row. Chihan and Berliak. Chihan really needs a good race this time round. In 13th position, Berliak 14th. Klaffenberg in 15th for Marco Pajic, who is another driver who absolutely needs a good performance in this race. Otherwise, it's going to be a shootout 2 journey for the likes of Pajic and the likes of Chihan. And, that's where nerves can come into it. If you have a bad shootout round 1, that means you could equally have a bad shootout round 2, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely. It could always be that chance, that little spectre sort of looming over you, in a sense. You get your season off to your shootout season off to a bad start, and then of course that will affect your performance in later races. You got to bounce back from that if you're going to make it anywhere in these shootouts.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is race 2 for the shootout number 1. It is Tim Yarshall on pole position, Lucas Müller in second, and which one of those Germans will get to turn 1 in the lead here? Lucas Müller will look to try and get a better start than he did last time out, and actually he already has lost the position. Jack Keithley up into second spot. Tim Yarshall is flying away once again. Jack Keithley looking to make it a pair of seconds as Lucas Müller sends it down the inside. Big jump between the two of them. They're both going to keep it facing in the right direction. And Jack Keithley is, well, absolutely going to go, no, I've got the room on the inside. I'm going to shuffle you out wide. You can be a bit more patient there. Lucas Müller very nearly lost himself in battle for that top 3. Because he was, he put himself in a very compromising position. But ultimately, they have got through. And the big winner, once again, is Tim Yarshall, who would have been looking in the mirror and he'd be smiling like a Cheshire cat. Nice work.
Absolutely, a little bit of disagreement for positions behind as well. Florian Hasselt and Alessandro Ottaviani getting into it together there as well. But as we head our way through out of that first sector, things looking to stabilize out somewhat inside of this top 10. We had an incident a little bit further back though, and I can say that, well, Julian Kunz is out of position. He's P29. Of course, that was the driver that was holding that P16 over the course of the previous race, but he's dropped back through the field. Look at this, Leonard Carter now trying to defend from, well, it was from Michelle, but Abuladze just caught Michelle napping there somewhat. And actually, oh, look at this big 3-4 wide moment somehow on the way in towards the final 10 and around.
Yeah, around goes, oh, it's Klaffenberg. It is, it's Klaffenberg. He's gone round there. He's right at the back of the order. And that is disastrous there. Again, I think he might be okay. Well, no, he's not. P10 in the previous race. Oh, that could be a case of we see Klaffenberg back for Shootout too. Again, not too sure exactly what happened there, but it was just a jostle for position between about 700 cars.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was just never going to work there. 700 cars into one just doesn't work out, unfortunately. Back up to the leaders, everyone on board here with Lucas Muller, who's just going to consolidate in third spot. Gianmarco Finucci, who does have the fastest lap of the race, albeit it's the first right lap, so it doesn't really count. And then we've got Ilya in fifth, Ben Spanky in sixth. So Ilya Drovoskov, yeah, there we go, that was it. That's the only time I'll say that one right. Isvachi found himself an extra position here, so really nice work there from the Swiss.
Yeah, fantastic. And you can just, if you're sat this top 5, you can just sort of cruise here at the moment, because you know you probably, in combination with the Shootout 1, got enough points to get through. Of course, we'll try and get as final of a confirmation of that as we can. Of course, any instance that happen will be pending stewards results, and those will be reviewed after the race, not during the race. So there might be some movement there, but we'll see what we can do with regards to giving you potentially some official numbers.
Yep, 100%. So we'll kind of give you a provisional look, and it won't be too dissimilar to what the official standings will be. But yeah, of course, we've got to make sure that all incidents are looked at properly, because the DTM Esports Championship is a big, big deal. And you don't want someone qualifying through that doesn't deserve to be there. Looking at the front four here, Yarshall, Keithley, Muller, Finucci, they're all pretty experienced campaigners when it comes to RaceRoom, when it comes to sim racing in general. They won't try and fight, they won't do anything too silly here and lose themselves an opportunity of going through to the main series. Again, ultimately P16 and P1 qualifying through to the main series. There's no difference between the two of them. You just get yourself in that group of cars, and then you start afresh when it starts in a few weeks' time or a couple of months' time. Tim Yarshall, 1.4 seconds in the lead. Last time out, or the last race we had, he was about 1.4, 1.6 seconds ahead for a good 3 or 4 laps at the start of the race, and then started to extend. And I'm expecting to see very much the same this time around. There is Otto Bjarne, he's got Leonard Krippner just behind Hakkinen, looking like he's going to get a couple of sets of, or a set of P10s and a better, which is a very, very, very good performance from their first esports series. They've got Berliak, Mitchell, Juhas, who needs a big result here because he did not have the best of first race. Shari, the Hungarian in P14, will need a few more points, I would say. Probably needs to move up into a top 10 if he's to get through to the main series. But yeah, right now it's just sort of the usual names at the sharp end.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, that's not entirely surprising. Of course, you know, the veterans on RaceRoom have been sort of quote-unquote the veterans for a pretty long time, so it's normal to see these names, and of course, you know, it's you know, they're good all-round sim racers as well, not just on RaceRoom. You know, they go onto the competitors and do very well there as well. So them being flexible is really, really awesome and great skill to have as a sim racer, because you never know what competition you join or what platform they're going to be running on. So it's good to keep your options open and to focus on those core skills, which these guys have done very well.
Yep, and one person who isn't very flexible is me, guys. So that's definitely not one of my strong points. On board with Krippner, we've got Hakkinen just in behind Mitchell, Berliak, who has Shari, Pfeiffer, and then Carton. Dart H, when is it starting? The series will start in March. So we've got ourselves our final shootout the first Friday of February, which again, you can get yourself involved in as a time trial that will begin next week to get yourself into the top 32 and then in the racing action for Shootout number 2. And then we begin the season in March. But we'll go through all of that at the end after this race. We'll go through the season and the schedule for you, so you know exactly when and where to be watching. On board then with Juhas, who's under pressure from Shari. Are we about to see a potential move from Shari? Again, it's such a difficult place to make an overtake. Track position is absolutely vital. There's no pit stops. We will be seeing pit stops when we get to the main series, but for today it's just sprint races. A bit further back, actually, Pfeiffer is very close, but no, sorry, was that Carton? I think Carton is very close in behind Pfeiffer, isn't he? Yes, he is. So this battle for P15 is very much going to warm up, I think.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. As you know, it is very tricky to draw yourself alongside here. I mean, we've seen it happen in that first race, so we're not necessarily saying it's impossible, but it requires a pretty good speed delta between the two cars as these two get very, very close nose to tail coming out of there. Is there an opening down the back straight? Perhaps not for Leonard Carton, but he is driving the wheels off of that thing at the moment. He's surrounded by BMWs, and let's see how much forward progress, if any, that he could make, because P16 may not be enough depending on his results in Shootout 1. We expect, you know, consistent 16th place finishes. You know, you're probably through, but you want to be sure of it. And now he's going to be heading down the inside potentially of Max Pfeiffer. Yes, he is down the inside at 1.
Yeah, he's going to go over the spaceship there on the apex of turn number 1. But again, it's pretty easy to defend the second corner if you've got the inside line. And actually, if anything, under a bit of pressure here to hold on to the position they had, hold on to P16. Not sure that's going to quite work out here. Again, up towards turn 4, just about holds on, or sorry, should I say turn number 3, and just about holds on to that P16. It's a big pressure forming, and that is the nature of this circuit. You try and make an overtake, you've got to be perfect, because ultimately, if you're very close to a car behind you, they are going to find themselves an opportunity because you're going to be offline.
Absolutely, and they're gonna, you know, getting caught offline here is the worst thing. But like, I mean, at some circuits you can try to recover from it. You might just have to hold on till the next corner. Well, you'll get the advantage, but really, you know, if you get caught offline here, you are going to be freight trained down the inside, whether you like it or not. So, again, that's the other tricky thing. High risk, low likelihood, low and high rewards. You know, it's not a deal that anyone would really want to, you know, rest their race on.
No one likes to be freight trained, that's for sure. As we head then down the start, finish straight in towards turn 1 again. Leonard Carton is very close here. Looks to fake one round the outside. I'm not sure you can really fake a move around the outside there when the car in front of you is hugging the grass. There's not really any room to fake it, I'm afraid. And Leonard Carton, I guess, was trying something. But yeah, it's that was ambitious to say the least, Connery. That's cracked me up, that has. He's trying to fake a move when there's no room. Fair play. It's like Tony Kanaan in the Indy 500.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you're in this situation, you kind of got to pull all the tricks out of the book, right? It's if you can't get by...
Including lawn mowing.
Including lawn mowing. Yes, absolutely. It's, I mean, 2 tires on the racing surface, still legal, right?
Yeah, no, that is true, Connery. You know, that is absolutely true. Yeah, potential move happening a bit further up then. Jari is looking to make a move on Kuhas, and, well, actually, has done it. Nailed. So Jari moves up the order, P13 now for the Hungarian, as we see Leonard Carton trying to find himself a little bit of an opportunity on Pfeiffer. To be honest, it's going to be a case of setting up around the final corner. It's really the only opportunity is down towards turn number 1, and the Mercedes is not going to be quite close enough there. The slipstream isn't really strong enough. Again, might try and fake it onto the grass again. There's not really much room to make the move around the outside of turn number 1, and yeah, again, once Pfeiffer just puts himself in the middle of the corner, then it's pretty easy to defend there. 9 minutes 40 seconds left on the clock, and to be honest, if you're Pfeiffer or Carton, one position really isn't enough. You guys really need to be going up the order and fighting with the likes of Juhas, Jari, Burliak, Mitchell. I'm not even sure that'll be enough. I think you need a top 10 for these boys.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to press on forward somehow. Maybe hope for mistakes a little bit further down the line, because these sorts of positions potentially not going to do it in the end. But we'll see how the mathematics works out, and to see who's going to go through to the next part of the season. Oh, Max Pfeiffer pushing wide, but still is able to close the door.
Yeah, Carton there really forced the issue on the first of the 3 left-handers. Just got a little bit of a better run than Pfeiffer in front. And as you can see here, he's got a really nice run down the back straight. Brilliant cam work there from you, Connery, as we now head towards the right-hander, then through the sweeping left-hander. Pfeiffer's just about going to hang on. but the door will be left open, I think, once again. And now, look at this. There's 4 BMWs and 1 Mercedes, or maybe even 5, battling for... Oh, that's a big shunt. That is a big hit there. Oh, Leonard Carton's going to feel that in the morning. Right on the coccyx, that would have been, oh, not good at all. And that actually ruins that battle as we head down towards turn number 1. Leonard Carton just going to send it still. He absolutely is going to send it here. Once again, though, you think Pfeiffer should be able to defend turn number 2. Just having that inside line, it just keeps going and going and going. Leonard Carton, though, is going to keep the overlap here. This might be brilliant. It is brilliant. Just keep a little bit of an overlap, and then into turn number 3, you got the inside line. The camber will help you, and that is beautiful. What a move there from Leonard Carton, and that was just perfectly executed. So difficult to keep any kind of overlap around turn number 2. He did, and he got his rewards. Brilliant.
I think Leonard Carton took the comment, "You can't pass at Oschersleben," personally. So he just wheeled it around the outside at 2. That was crazy. We had a shot with the cameras where you saw the back end sliding out, just wanting to hug as tight to the door as possible, all the way around that corner to try and minimize any loss from taking the wider line. And it paid dividends. Leonard Carton up to P14 with a fantastic move.
Just hot dogging it, just absolutely hot dogging it around Oschersleben. That's move of the series so far, for sure. And he's also just gapping the BMWs behind him. He's just going kind of, you guys can all fight for that position that I used to have. I'm now ahead. I'm in P15. I'm off now to try and fight the rest of this field. Brilliant stuff there. And actually, it's Luciano Whitbert now who's actually got ahead of Pfeiffer. So after all of that, it's not even Pfeiffer that loses 1 position. He loses 2. 6 minutes, 50 seconds to go. The lead group are as they were, but the mid-pack, it is ferociously being fought out there, and we love to see it.
Absolutely. It's crazy, crazy stuff in and amongst the mid-pack. Of course, this race lead still hovering about that 1 to 1.2 second gap, which is pretty comfortable for pretty much everyone involved there. They're not really going to be too concerned about that. They're just focusing on trying to get to the checkered flag. But when you're in this mid-pack, questioning about whether you have enough points to try and get through to the next stage, that's where things get a little bit more spicy. As Bo Dixon trying to lean on the back of Abuladze there. Very, very close to trying to get try and get the crowbar in and try and prise that gap open, but it didn't end up happening for him. But it still feels like there's yet more gunpowder in this box of a mid pack.
In the DTM YouTube chat, Max is asking how can you get into one of these shootouts. There is a time trial in the RaceRoom sims. Go into RaceRoom and you can take part in the time trial. The top 32 will make it through to shootout number 2. Yeah, Bo's just tried to do exactly the same, really, as what we just saw from Carton on Pfeiffer. Just tried to set him up through turn number 7, or the end of the triple left-handers, and force him out wide when it switches to the right hand and the weight transfer of the car. So he's kind of just taken a leaf out of the book there of Leonard Carton. It didn't quite work out, but I like it. I like the fact that we're in the second race here, and you're obviously seeing people figure out where they can make moves. They're actually adapting to the track and the race as we're running laps.
We got 5 minutes to go though, so that time running down, well, relatively quickly. But we've got, back at the front of the field. I mean, that 1.2 second gap has come down to basically half a second between Yarshall and Keithley. I'm not going to say that anything is going to happen at the very front of the field. I think it's just too risky for these guys to go and have a...
They got enough points. They got enough points. Connery, don't start that rubbish. They've got enough points already. Let them fight. Let them fight. I'll give shout out to the RaceRoom Discord, by the way. They're all talking in... some of them are talking about the DTM Esports race. Some of them are just arguing with each other. But, they're getting involved there. Shout out to Ryder. He said that Carton's overtake was absolutely class. I'm not going to read out any of the other comments, but yeah, even the RaceRoom Discord's getting involved with the banter. Carton now, a nice little gap now, about a full second to Luciano Whitver. Jack Heathley, 4/10 away from Tim Yarshall. Is there the possibility in the last 4 minutes here of Jack Heathley getting himself into the lead of this race? As we see Pfeiffer, just battling for his life at this point. Poor guy's not been able to breathe this whole race.
No, I mean, it seems like he's a very good qualifier, but the race pace here is perhaps not quite as good, and that's why people seemingly get stacked up behind him, because I mean, Carton's pulled the gap, Vitvo's also pulled the gap as well. So it does seem that Pfeiffer's the bottleneck here, and they actually make a little bit of contact through the right-hander there, and yeah, it's just a matter of how frustrated are these drivers in behind that they're getting stacked up.
That was just a little sniff, nothing more. Just a little bit of a sniff there to the BMV in front. Normal, happens, it's what we do. Heading up towards the final few corners into the final sector of this Oschersleben circuit. Again, very difficult for overtakes, yet we have had one of the best overtakes maybe ever in DTM, actually. I would put that as one of the best overtakes I've seen in DTM Esports from Carton. Well, we've had some incredible moves, we've had some incredible moments, but that, for Oschersleben, I think you have to put the context of where we're racing. It's so difficult to make a move, to pinch someone onto turn 2 like that, to then open up turn 3. I think that's just, yeah, got to be held in pretty high regard for a move during this championship. Again, Pfeiffer fighting for his life, making that BMW as wide. Oh, there's a mistake actually, he runs wide, and now he has got to try and ward off the outside. The only saving grace here is that turn 3's got a lovely bit of camber right on the inside that really will help Pfeiffer get the car rotated, although he is all over the place right now. He loses traction with the rear. They're battling as they come then down towards turn number 4. We've got 3 left-handers, which again should save Pfeiffer, but we've seen Pfeiffer run deep in towards turn 7. I tell you what, it doesn't matter here. It does not matter as Abelarde is trying to get involved. It's not quite going to work out, but they are fighting right now for that top 16 position. Oh, this is great. I love it.
Yeah, Dixon sticking the nose in there as well, trying to at least try and gain some leverage over these guys, try to follow through in the tyre tracks of the eventual winner of this in a side-by-side and pick up a position no matter on who. But again, not successful that time around. Pfeiffer the cork in the bottle here. You can see the cars ahead have sort of run away a little bit, and Abelarde really desperate for another position here to try and make his points tally a little bit better. 1 minute 30 as they head their way across the line now. Is there a move to the inside for Abelarde? Well, he's tempted by it, just a little bit of a show to nose, but decides to remain single file for now. He has to try and pick his battles, and he might get one here. To the inside he goes.
Brilliant move there. This could work out for Abelarde, but again, he will have the outside line for turn 3. The camber should help Pfeiffer out. Can Abelarde hang it around the outside? Oh, he's just about going to keep that overlap. But again, the next 3 corners are all left-handers. Can we see a potential move around the outside? It's not quite going to work out. Pfeiffer will run a little bit deep through the first of the 3, but ultimately will just about hang on. And then you're just trying to force the car in front of you to run a little bit wide through the right-hander. The weight transfer obviously makes it very difficult to turn the car left and right without losing the rear, but ultimately Pfeiffer has got it all sorted out. Brilliant stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Just holding on. 30 seconds left on the clock, though. Where is Tim Yarshall? Just coming across the line now. So this is the start of the final lap, folks.
It certainly is. This is the final lap. Looks like it might be 2 from 2, unless Jack Keithley can find himself some magic here for an overtake. The battle between Pfeiffer and pretty much the rest of the grid is still going strong. But I think we owe it, well, let's check out turn number 1, but I think we owe it to the front 2 to showcase them. So I think there might be a battle as we see a potential move. Yeah, Abelarde hits that spaceship, ultimately is going to force him to run a little bit deep in towards turn number 1. Has he got the overlap on the inside? He does not. On the exit though, he might well have it. I think Pfeiffer should be able to just hold on here. Both Dixon and Nikolai just in behind as well, waiting for any kind of mistake. It's so difficult to commentate when you've got the same car and the same numbers on there, but hopefully we've done this race justice as we go back up to the leaders momentarily. Looks like they're all figured out. They're going to be in the order that they are currently. Is there a potential move here for a top 16? And just get used to this, guys. DTM Esports, when we have our final 32 drivers, it will be even closer than what you're watching right now, all the way through the grid, round the final corner, and once again, Tim Yarshall, your reigning champ in Shootout 1, is going to pick up a double victory. That man is on cloud 9 with confidence. Head then through our final sector here, through the sweeping right hand and into the left hander. Don't want to dip your right wheels into the gravel there, otherwise it could completely halt your momentum. And the battle for P16, which has been Battle of Shootout 1, is going to come to a close. And by the skin of his teeth, it will be Pfeiffer that gets that 16th position. What that means in terms of qualification, we will momentarily find out. But boy, what a way to kick off the DTM Esports season with Shootout 1. Fantastic, everybody. Oschersleben is always a circuit where I'm like, oh God, okay, it's going to be no overtakes today. But this was brilliant. Well done, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping the intrigue all the way to the very end. There's Julian Klaffenbuck, who's had a struggle of a second race after doing so well in the first one. Comes home down there in P27, but everyone else just sort of taking their cool down lap. Another win for Tim Yarshall, of course. What else is new? But this was a little bit closer. 7/10 of a second back to Jack Keithley, and another 7/10 back to Lucas Müller. But yeah, fantastic stuff. I mean, we had that's our first shootout drawn to a close. Of course, we'll have the second one at the start of February, but. Yeah, this is, if the main season races are like that, as a baseline, then we have a potentially pretty exciting field to commentate on once we get to the official round 1.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait. I'm buzzing now. Yeah, so just to let you guys know, there's a few questions in the chat. Basically, they're all using paint schemes from last season's DTM Championship, but once you qualify for the main series, they actually get their own team livery, their own number, their own name on the car. So in the shootouts right now, they're using the liveries from last year. So obviously with 32 drivers, if 32 pick a BMW, there is going to be a couple of duplications. Tim Yarshall, he finishes with the race victory again. What more can we say about Tim Yarshall? He is the reigning champ, and he started off with not only P1 in qualifying in the race, he's got the fastest lap. Yeah, he looks very strong. Actually, if anything, looks maybe a little bit stronger than he did last time out. Jack Keithley in second position. That's the Jack Keithley we know and love. Last season didn't have the best of championships, but looks like he's back into that sort of form where he is going to have a proper run at it. Lucas Müller in third, similar story to Jack Keithley. Probably didn't have the best of it last year, but looks very strong this time around. Finucci, we've got Ilya Bensbanki, Alessandro Ottaviani, Leonard Krippner, Florian Hasser, and Turka Hakkinen as your top 10. And no, I'm not saying Ilya's second name because I can't. Christian Mitchell in 11th, Berliak, Jari, and Carton is your top 14. Witwer, Pfeiffer, Abelardze, Dixon, Nikolai, and Stapleford as your top 20. And then we have got ourselves Koloksai, Bidolf, Makievich. We've got Kunze, Dreys, Lomi, Klaffenberg, Rudinger, Juhas, and Berker. All three of those drivers are DNS. Marco Pejic and Emre Cihan also DNS. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Shootout 1 done and indeed dusted. I bought the pugs, by the way. There you go. Got all the pugs, guys. We love the pugs. Connery. We'll just summarize that. That, for me, personally, I really enjoyed that. It sets up the season beautifully well. We've been doing this together since, 2019 now? And for a shootout, that was a lovely appetizer for what we're going to have in the season.
Yeah, I think so too. If we can have overtakes at Oschersleben, then we can have overtakes at any other circuit that we decide to go to. So, yeah, fantastic stuff. I mean, in the end, we didn't really have that many surprises, all things considered. Tim Yarshall taking race wins, Jack Keithley being up there, Ben Spunky, etc., etc. Tim Yarshall, for example. Really we haven't rocked the boat so much with regards to that. Maybe that's to be expected because it is shootout number 1. Okay, so normally the strongest drivers will get through first time, right? They'll get through in shootout number 1. These drivers, if they do well in the leaderboard for shootout number 2, the ones that missed out, potentially will get themselves an opportunity to have another go in shootout number 2. That's where potentially we might see a couple more wildcards, potentially a couple more interesting names getting themselves qualified into the DTM Esports season. So I would hazard a guess that Shootout 2 might be even more intriguing, even more exciting because of that fact, because of a lot more unknowns and a lot more other drivers trying to make a name for themselves.
And you know there's going to be some big names that are going to have FOMO, that have watched that and gone, oh, I was in it last year, and maybe I haven't got now I've got the time. I'm going to make the time for it. They'll come and get involved. And yeah, Shootout 2 should be absolutely incredible. Make sure you keep an eye out in the RaceRoom sim time trial section, and you'll be able to find that as well. Go to the RaceRoom website, raceroom.com, and you can find out that information as well. But let's check out then the season calendar. So obviously that's Shootout number 1. We've got Shootout number 2 coming for you the first Friday of February. So not long at all, actually, only in a couple of weeks' time. And then we head to the season. DTM Esports 2025 will head to Zandvoort on the 21st of March. And then on the 4th of April, we will have a double header in April, actually. We go to the Norris Ring, and then we head to the Nürburg Ring. Again, just like DTM Esports has always been, and DTM, there's just lots of rings in this championship. So the 18th of March, again, Nürburg Ring. Then we've got a DTM Esports special event. It's not worth any points. I don't know exactly what that is. I'm excited to see what that might be. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Maybe they get a running track and all the drivers have to run around in person with like their team race suit. I don't know. I'm just making things up right now. Round 4. There's going to be people in the Discord now, aren't there, going, oh, we have to see that now. Oh, they've confirmed it. They're going to do a running race. Right, the 30th of May will be round number 4 after a summer break at the Saxon Ring. Then we're heading to round number 5, which will be on the 27th of the 6th, which is the Red Bull Ring. And then just like DTM, for the most part, they end at the Hockenheim Ring, which will be on the 18th of July. So the season's a little bit longer, actually, than previous years. We're normally done by March. But yeah, it's a little bit longer this time around, a bit more of a space between rounds. But yeah, make sure that you join in. And it will be the same time every single week. So if you're in Europe, it will be 7:15 in the evening on a Friday evening. So if you want to take a picture of that, you've got yourself a few seconds to get yourself a screenshot of that. And well, let's check out the previous champions, shall we? So, of course, we have had 3 DTM Esports series over the last few years. It's the first time that we're having a championship in an odd number. But yeah, in 2020, it was Moritz Lohner for Williams Esports. God, it feels like a million years ago that Moritz was racing for Williams. We've got Kevin Siggy for Team Redline in 2022. He was actually your P2 last year as well. And then you got Tim Yarshall, who shocked the DTM world with the championship win last time out in the Falcon Sim Racing Porsche. So yeah, will we see our first ever 2-time champion? Remains to indeed be seen. I think we're waiting for an interview, maybe. I guess Tim might be talking to the German broadcast, so me and you are just going to talk some rubbish for a little bit longer.
So like normal then?
Well, yeah, basically that's what we do for a living, just talk rubbish. But yeah, if you've got any questions over on the DTM YouTube or in my chat or even in the RaceRoom Discord, yes, I am keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, I literally have it open right now. General chat and RaceRoom chat. Yeah, I can see you guys. I can see you. So I'm gonna have to wait for the stream delay now to get any sort of response, because the YouTube delay at least is quite long. Maybe we'll get if someone's watching on Twitch, maybe we'll get a faster reaction. But you know what I want for that special event race? You know what I want to see?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, go on.
Us getting involved. Who's going to run the stream? I don't know.
No,
But you know how when people have the Olympics, right? They have obviously the elite athletes, but some people had the idea of like, why can't we just put a normal person in like the 100-meter sprint, and then just to see how impressive these athletes are? It'll be kind of like that.
Right. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. So there's many people out there that know that I'm not very fast, but there's the illusion for some others that might just think, because I'm a commentator, that I'm quick. And they just, like, in their head, like, oh, yeah, he must be fast, like, because he's a commentator, right? And I want to keep it like that. I don't want to ever prove to them that that's just not the case. So, yeah, that's definitely not what I want to do. So I guess Tim isn't going to join us. So I'm just going to wrap up, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't think.
People are going to get bored of our faces. And do you know what? We spoke to Tim far too many times last year anyway. He was our champion, so whatever. If he wants to talk to us, he can come talk to us next time out when the season begins, because he won't be in Shootout number 2. But remember, we've got ourselves the season starting in March. We've got Shootout number 2 in 2 weeks' time on Friday. If you're on RaceRoom, make sure that you do indeed go and get involved in the time trial. Even if you're not very fast, at least you can look at your time compared to everyone else. And then when you watch a broadcast and go, oh, crikey, yeah, they're like 2 seconds faster or whatever, at least it's something you can then, you can, I'm trying to think of the word here. you can relate to it a bit more to the broadcast. Connery, any final words from you?
I'm just looking forward to Shootout 2, to be honest, because this always had the potential just to be the tame one, right? Shootout 1 with all of the DTM Esports previous season drivers looking to try and get themselves through. But once we get to that Shootout 2, there's a lot more unknowns, a lot more action potentially as people try to get that last opportunity to try and qualify into the DTM Esports season for 2025. So, yeah, potentially pretty cutthroat because, again, these guys, you know, the ex-DTM Esports drivers are through, essentially, and we will get ourselves that last opportunity, and that is going to be it. That's going to be the field set. So I think maybe the nature of it being the last opportunity will also push the drivers to maybe take some more risks that they perhaps otherwise would stay away from.
Absolutely. But there you go, guys. Shootout number 1 in the books for DTM Esports 2025. We've started. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for Shootout number 2 before we get our season underway. So, yeah, we'll see you then. Take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.